Hello Ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a special survival show today, taking an in-depth look at Dean Hall, the creator of Dayz, his next big game. It may shock you. I'm not talking about Icarus, I'm talking about one of his biggest passion projects to date. Honestly, you may not be ready for what I'm about to show you. Yep, Dean Hall is a massive nerd. He loves his tycoon games and he's been making himself a train and tycoon game on the quiet. Yep, this is all going to be out, guys. This is their next big focus. This is what he's going to dedicate Rocketworks to for the future. Whoa there. Okay, maybe I'm having a bit of a troll and a joke. Of course, this isn't their big game. This is just a little side project Dean Hall is working on in his spare time. We're talking about Icarus. This is going to be a brand new survival experience coming out next year. They recently did an interview as part of a PAX exhibition in Australia, and it was a big long interview talking about the origins of Dayz, how they got into game development. Dean Hall and Brian Hicks, the producer of their new game, they've both been talking about how excited they are for their new Icarus PvE experience. It's not going to be PvP. You're not a spaceman going onto a planet and pretty much hacking away at other players. It's more about the immersion that you're going to get and the excitement from surviving against the odds with creatures, the environment, and your lack of oxygen. And it's very instant. It looks like, to me, a cross between Tarkov and maybe Deep Rock Galactic, where you kind of be getting resources and then you've got to carefully manage them before you make your escape, before you run out and maybe lose everything you've been working to. It got first announced a good few months ago at a PC Gamer show, and now they're starting to ramp up a little bit. I'm hopeful still it's going to be progressing. It seems like progress is working well, and we could see Icarus come maybe early on next year. So make sure you're liking, make sure you subscribe for the best in survival games news and opinion, and let's go ahead and see some of the gameplay. I've got some snippets. They showed off some brand new gameplay, and it's the first I've seen anywhere of actual proper gameplay, and we'll talk and discuss the merits of a PvE experience over PvP. Now, it's worth pointing out that Dean Hall has worked on another game called Stationeers, and this was very much a much more niche game. Imagine Space Engineers, but on a next level of complexity, and just really something that I think a lot of people would maybe be put off by, but it's definitely a market for people that really like simulation games set in space, building your own space station, refining ores, that kind of thing. Not my cup of tea completely, too hard for me. I'm a simple guy. Their next project though is of course this one, and this is Icarus. So the idea being that you will go on the instances where you will land on a planet. You've got to go and gather your resources, make sure you've got safety in building a base, work together with other players and making sure you're getting them resources off the planet before either A, you run out of oxygen, you get attacked by other creatures, or perhaps some environmental factors like storms pretty much ruin your experience on the planet. Supposedly, from the announcement originally, it's going to be a free-to-play game and it's going to be the done deal. I mean, they're going to update and iterate on it, but it's not going to be entering early access as far as I'm aware, unless I've got that wrong or it's changed recently. They are looking at launching in 2021 as a full game. So like I said, they included some gameplay clips, but they're really not that long. So I have slowed it down just to get a bit of a closer look. At first glances, you're thinking, yep, it's Rust, it's Dayz, it's every other survival game you've ever played. Hack away at a tree, get some resources, build your base. And yeah, it definitely has that vibe, like the simplicity of that. The devs have said that it's going to be much more to it than that. It's not just about going there and being a spaceman and hitting trees. For anyone familiar with survival games, you've got the basics in the left there. You've got oxygen, you've got food, and then it looks like you've got water, and then another bar which looks more like a base style icon. Maybe that's the limit to how much you can carry, or maybe you've got to get your base up to a certain standard. I'm not too sure, but obviously you've got health as well, the big red bar, and I'm not too sure what the green bar with the little orange eyes next to it. Maybe that's an indication of stamina or something like that. Also, obviously, the first thing you're going to see is that the landscape looks pretty normal. Looks like it could be in New Zealand, where they're from, Rocketworks. Maybe some North American sort of forest zone with a mountain in the background. Not exactly the most alien-like experience. The trees bursting into planks when you actually hit them is a good sign that we're not going to be here doing a boring grindfest completely. And then you've got your typical hotbar in the middle there with all the items in it. On the right hand side, listing on the bottom what the tool is. And then at the top, you've got your compass and a time limit to pretty much how long you've got left on this instance on this planet. Top right, you've got temperature, then you've got the biome description. So again, it's all pretty crucial information and it looks pretty good. So this next clip, it just shows a little bit more details about getting the actual planks from wood, no having to carry massive amount of logs around. It just simply goes into a quick, easy, stackable resource. And then you're going and mining. And again, they said during this interview, they took a big influence from Deep Rock Galactic, how fun it was, how that core loop of mining was just really cool and the way they did it. And they've kind of borrowed some ideas from lots of games and how they can improve on it or make it their own kind of thing. What surprised me in this interview was how much Dean referenced games like Minecraft, and Positivity spoke about Dayz. Obviously spoke about the history of his experience with it and how it kind of ended quite negatively, and the impacts it went through and the mistakes they've made in the past. And it was, yeah, a really, really interesting interview. So I recommend you definitely go and check out the full hour-long interview with him. He talks about the mistakes they made with Dayz and other stuff they've learned as well in the past. And so hopefully this is all going to be good stead for Icarus. Trying to make what is normally considered, in my opinion, quite a boring side of survival, which is PvE. Unless the game gets it right, like Ark, where you've got loops like dinosaur hunting, or in Conan Exiles getting thralls, lots of games that try and do just PvE focused in survival kind of come up short because it just does get too repetitive. There isn't that feeling of suddenness. There isn't that excitement that comes from other players who will just ruin your day, but generally it does mean that you can make an exciting experience. The flip side of that is that some games rely too much on player engagement, and if you don't have enough core loops in the game, relying on players just to provide it all is going to be big problems, and your game will probably be short-lived. That's just a personal opinion of mine. I could talk about survival all day long, but we won't do that in this one. Let's carry on focusing on the actual gameplay itself. So here we can see we've got some armor set. It looks like a bit like an Inuit. You can see it's got all the sort of fur and stuff. So obviously you're going to have to be careful. Some planets, although they look nice and pleasant, may be a little bit cold. Very basic weapons though, mixed in with a little bit of technology there. You saw the bow and arrow, and we'll go through it again. You've got the menu here, so lots of refinement, still that kind of crafting, that loop that you're going to expect to put your resources in and get more different types of resources out, components. And then you've got suddenly out of nowhere the Batmobile, and it's just a massive roving Jeep that you're going to be driving across the landscape as well, and looking pretty good as well. I mean, I think the game has got some, yeah, it looks nice. It's not overly done, it's not crazily exotic, but it definitely still has got that nice vibe. It looks pretty nice to explore. I would want to go around the forest and see what was there. Reminds me a lot of Dayz, it has to be said. So let's rewind it back a bit again anyway. And so obviously you've got different types of roofing, slate roofing there. And inside this building, you've got 3 different crafting benches. Well, 2 plus the furnace. And, you know, that means to me there's going to be all sorts of different ways to make stuff or different refinement processes. Got some sort of tripod on the right there. Don't know what that could possibly be. But yeah, it's all pretty cool. I like the idea. There's lots of space as well. It's pretty simplistic. There's no like overtly prettiness with these base parts. Reminds me definitely a lot of Rust in that respect. You've got refined ores, iron and copper. So yeah, the kind of usual stuff. Now here you've got like the speedometer in the middle, and then I'm guessing you've got like the fuel gauge as well on the left hand side. And then on the right, it's got what gear it is. So it may have a bit more complexity. You may have to actually properly drive stick with this and maybe not rely on an auto, although I hope that might not be the case. Then on the right hand side, you've got the diagram showing the health of the vehicle, different wheels and the axle and stuff. So yeah, maybe it can take damage. Does look like the car will need to be careful with certain things though, and it does look like it's the Mark II version. So maybe there's a smaller version, or they're just calling it the Mark II, but maybe there is a different type of buggy or vehicle that you can have. In this next section, we've got a storm raging, and it seems to be near the end of the match, or maybe not. I guess it's like 1 day, 1 hour, but it seems to be some urgency. Dean spoke about the fact in playtesting, which is what their big focus has been, how fun has the game been to play on a weekly basis with their team, their little sessions, how it kind of becomes a cheer factor, hoping that someone makes it to the launch pad, I guess, for the escape pod or the escape vehicle, whether or not they're going to make it. That is part of the thrilling gameplay. That's what a lot of people are going to find interesting. And I do hope that's the case. You know, it does make me concerned whenever we talk about PvE games. What is the interest in it? What is going to keep you excited? If there isn't other players, it's got to usually be an abundance of enemies and different types of mobs. But with the idea that maybe it's your oxygen running out, or it's all about a timeline, then yeah, that could be pretty cool as well. The same sort of factor, I guess, with other games in the past, like we had to get to the helicopter in certain battle royales. I think it was Fear the Wolves and Project Elysium, was it that one back in the day? What happened to that? Is anyone playing that anymore? Anywho, yeah, still lots of primitive stuff. We'll see in the clip in a second again, just a more basic torch. It does feel a bit weird that we're in spaceships and we're being shuttled down in pods or a vehicle of some sort of spaceship, and then we're using like the most basic rudimentary tools. Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe they simply can't be used in certain things, an ion gravity field or something disturbing certain situations. I would like there definitely to be a variety in instances, and maybe there could be different planets with complete different gravity loops. Maybe you'll be able to jump 30 feet on one planet but only 2 feet on another. Maybe certain things will happen a lot quicker on one planet where your oxygen will run out a lot quicker, or maybe your stamina will drain a lot quicker. Their type of variations will make a game like this important, where you can have a different experience. It's not just going to be the same experience over and over again, landing on pretty much the same planet. Now, I say planet, I'm not expecting it to be a whole planet to explore like No Man's Sky. Obviously, they're just biomes in instances, and I'm sure there'll be some sort of markers that you can't go past. But I don't know. I don't know enough yet to make them assertions, but I'm really interested. And again, just more in this next clip of daytime where it's raining and stuff. You can see the base in the distance and just moving around at a little bit of speed. I'm playing this at its full speed here. It just looks good. It looks like, you know, misty and cold and grey. But yeah, kind of what you'd expect. And with the gameplay more or less at its proper speed, just so you get an actual feel for the speed and everything going. First person view in the actual vehicle this time as well. Looks pretty decent too. And then just a little look at the vista. So the mountains. It looks like it's pretty explorable. It does look like a big space. Whether or not that's just a box, a skybox, I'm not too sure. But again, showing off the base in real time this time and just showing you the build system, which is very early. I reckon a lot of this will change and we won't necessarily see all these arrows and stuff like that. So that, at the moment, is kind of all we know. I've already done a video discussing what the interview said in PC Gamer back in the past, and I'm hoping to get more information about Icarus in the months to come. But so far, we're getting an idea what to expect. You'll be going down to planets, you'll be exploring, you'll be gathering resources, and maybe there's be quotas that you have to hit, or maybe it's just about being careful. Maybe you have to resupply your own oxygen, hence why you need to build, and that's a crucial part of it, is getting the resources that you can make oxygen purifiers and stuff like that to get that advanced level. Maybe the more that you craft, the more that you gather, the better resources, the more better equipment you can make, and that makes the job of getting the resources you need to maybe win a condition. But co-op is important. Doing it with other players and making sure you're helping each other out seems to be the order of the day. And yeah, no PvP. No one's going to be shooting you or taking your base parts or your items. I'll say it now, I think Dean Hall and Rocketworks have got a bit to prove. Their last game Station is, as I said, was pretty niche, so it wasn't expecting to take the world by storm. And I think in terms of setting yourself out in the gaming world, they've been recruiting a lot of people. I would like to say that I'd want to make a game as big, as popular as my first one, and actually finish something off and actually have it as something cemented and done, and not have any sort of tarnished legacy like Dayz does have. Because, you know, no matter what, Dean Hall did leave, whatever circumstances, whether Bohemia were being hard to work with or the situation was just incredibly complicated. For me as a person, I would still want to prove a lot to people that I could make a good game and could finish it off and have something compelling for people to play. So I hope that's the case with Icarus. I'll be there to give you guys all the info. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you ratbags for more soon.